Hi, everyone. So this is just a quick introduction to the Faraday rotation lab. Make sure you watch the videos about nonlinear optics theory before you view this. And then this will just give you a quick look at the experimental apparatus. All right? Here, hang on one second. Okay, well, here we are. So the first thing I'm doing is to just turn on the diode laser, which turns on and off with a switch here. Here's the laser beam. It's a little hard to see on the video camera, I know. Maybe you can see it on this card. The laser beam comes from a diode laser. It reflects off the first mirror, M1. Then it travels through a polarizer, which sets the polarization. And then it goes through a hole in the magnet pole piece, which allows it to travel through the magnet to the other side and come out, okay? On the other side, the beam is captured by a second mirror, M2, goes to a third mirror, M3, and then it travels through a lens to a polarizing beam splitter. The polarizing beam splitter splits it into two components, vertically polarized and horizontally polarized, okay? And then each of these enters one input to a differential photometer, okay? And the differential photometer will measure the intensities of these two beams, and it will measure the difference between the intensities. Here, I'm going to come back around to the other side. When you set this up, these components won't all be in position. You'll have to set them in position. As you do this, you can do the following. You'll notice that there's an aperture here. It's like an iris. It can be made to be a small hole that the laser should travel through. So when the first mirror is out of position and we drop it in, we should set it up so that it's approximately right. And then we can adjust the laser direction to make sure the laser beam goes through the aperture. Once we've done that, we can open the aperture and adjust the first mirror here to get the light to go through the hole in the first hole in the pole piece and out the second hole in the pole piece, which I'm going to do right now. When this is correct, the beam will be a bright red dot. If it's not aligned quite right, then you might see some red light exiting the magnet pole piece, but it won't be a bright red circle. Instead, it'll be a big mess consisting of light that's bounced around inside of the magnet, okay? When the light comes out, we should set the next mirror so that the light hits the center of the third mirror. And then we'll do the following. With this lens out of position, we should set the direction with the third mirror so that it goes straight to the to the first of the entrances to the differential photometer, to diode A. So I'll adjust the mirror to get the beams to travel to that entrance. Okay. Then I'm going to put the lens in place and try to adjust it so that I get as close as possible to the right orientation of the beam. That is, if the light goes through the center of the lens, it won't deflect it, at least not very much. Then I can make small adjustments if I need to get the light to go back into this aperture. After that, I should adjust the last mirror, M4, to get the light to go into the other aperture, the B second photodetector, or B photodetector. Okay? Once that's done, the optics are all set up. Okay. Hang on one second. Okay. Once the optics are set up, we can start working with electronics. The main piece of electronics we have to worry about is this, the differential photometer. It has two switches, power, and then this one. We'll switch them both on. And with these on, we should be able to measure voltages at each of the three outputs. This one that has a red label, that's for the photodiode A. This one over here with the yellow label, that's photodiode B. And then the center is, gives a signal that's proportional to the difference between the two photodiodes, okay? You can check these with a voltmeter to make sure everything looks reasonable. But for our measurements, I'm going to have you connect these to the computer, which is a lot more convenient. Like so. And then these cables now are connected to the A to D converter in the computer, so the computer can read the voltages. Here, hang on one second. Over on the computer, we can start this program called Test Channels 2. And what this does is it just starts a monitor which can read the three channels, channel A, channel B, and A minus B. Here, I'll start it by selecting the Run Continuously icon. There we go. So I'm going to make an adjustment so these aren't overloaded. Okay, so you can see on channel A and channel B, I have voltages of about 3 volts. Whereas on channel A minus B, I have a small voltage around 0.2 of a volt. So the difference between the two polarization components right now is very small because I've set the polarizer so that they're about equal. I'm going to go make a small adjustment to the polarizer to 0, the A minus B channel. Oops. Like so. Now the system is balanced. That is, we have exactly the same intensity on the A channel and on the B channel. For us, the important thing is that when we apply a magnetic field, the magnetic field will rotate the polarization of light inside of the material that we're testing. And that will cause the A minus B voltage to change from 0 to some positive or negative voltage, depending on the magnetic field. All right? Finally, we're going to use a program very similar to the one that you used when we measured magnetization in the first lab that will sweep the magnetic field and measure the 3 different signals, okay? And the goal is to look at the ratio of the A minus B signal to the sum of the A and the B signals. And what we expect is that this should be proportional to the magnetization inside the sample. I think most of this lab will be spent setting up the experiment and getting it all to work, but that should be kind of fun. Doing the measurements on the different samples will go very quickly. All right, well, that's a quick introduction, and I think we'll stop here. Okay? And I'll see you in lab.